Welcome to Creativity and the Paranormal. And today we are welcoming paranormal romance author, I believe, right? Or
Yes.
just paranormal fiction, or you like to call yourself paranormal romance?
I don't have a set place for me, but this particular book that we'll be speaking about is a paranormal romance.
Okay, perfect. And this is Cindy Culverwell. Welcome to Creativity and the Paranormal. And
Thank you.
I am your host. I am S.K. Andrews, and I'm the author of the paranormal fiction book series, The Kelly Society. And my link is down below, skandrews.com. So with that out of the way, I like to do our little welcoming session here with spooky mugs. First, I'll show mine. My niece gave me this because I still have the office day job, of course, and she thought it was fun. So here's the evil queen from Snow White, of course. Lunch disappears from office fridge, and you go to the other side. I hope you like apples. So don't steal my lunch from the office fridge. Anyway, and you have something, I think.
Yes, I have my dragon mug.
Ooh, I love it. Ooh,
It's
how
all
Game of Thrones.
sparkly and
Where did
I'm
you get
afraid to
that?
drink out of it. I got that. We have a restaurant in town that also has booths, and they have all the unique stuff. They got fairy stuff, and they've got dragons and all that kind of things. They're very nice.
Oh, that's great. Oh,
You'd love it.
yeah. I have a skull one at Halloween, but I'd love to get a dragon one. I have to put that on my list. So, okay, I am going to begin by reciting your bio, and it'll also give your pen name. So here we go. Cindy, writing is a second act for C. Ellen Culverwell. Her first was law enforcement. After earning a degree in criminal justice, she was hired as the youngest and among the first women to be a Niagara County Department sheriff. Wow. After leaving the force to raise her daughter, she continued to consult with various law enforcement agencies in matters of electronic surveillance. After the death of her husband, she turned to her passion for writing. Originally, her writing was meant to be cathartic, a means to empower her imagination. Her mantra has become, personal tragedy is only tragic when it's not chapter one. She lives with her daughter on their horse farm in their ancestral hometown of Newfane, New York, minutes from majestic Niagara Falls. Mother and daughter are currently experimenting with scent training their horses for search, rescue, and recovery. Her cast of characters reflects both people she has met while in law enforcement and members of her close-knit community. They are and will continue to be her inspiration to create new storylines and interesting characters. That is incredible. Now, I can't just let this go. I have to ask you a quick sidebar here. If you can tell me a little more about your experimenting with scent training your horses for search, rescue, and recovery, because that's amazing.
Well, years ago, when I was on the sheriff's department, I occasionally work with the dog person that tracks for when we're missing people or whatever.
Right.
And one of the problems with that is those dogs run like the wind, and trying to keep up with them is really hard on the people that are doing the search. With horses, you can ride them. Now, the downside with the horses is they don't have the keen scent that a dog has, but they have superior eyesight and hearing. And they will pick up on scents, but they will put their noses in the air rather than dogs will put them to the ground.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So the benefit of that is, like I said, you can ride the horse, but you're giving up some of the added scent thing. A few years ago, I don't know if you remember the case where the escaped prisoners were in the Adirondacks.
And I did hear that, yeah, because I'm just below you in the Hudson Valley between New York City and the Adirondacks.
Yeah. Well, they were looking for these people. And I kept saying when I was watching it on TV, the dogs that got their nose to the ground, they should be looking in the air.
Mm.
And later on, when they were captured, the one man said, he goes, we were sitting in trees watching them. When I was riding my
Really?
when I was riding my horse one day, I was going down a path and he stopped and he wouldn't go. And he was just standing there. And I looked up and there was a hunter in a tree stand.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay. So
they
it
have,
kind of got your wheels going.
yeah,
Wow.
well, that and I got a horse once, my new horse, and I was so thrilled. I could hardly wait to hop on it and go for a ride. My daughter took it.
Oh, okay.
She wanted to ride this horse.
Yeah.
So I was ticked off and I grabbed her pony and I said, find her. And
Ah!
I hopped on the pony and she found where she was. She was way, way
Oh,
back in the fields, but I
oh
found her.
my goodness.
So we
Wow.
do try to train them the same way as you do a dog. You give them
Yeah.
something to set, you know, you'll tell them to find and you give them something. Hats are really good. I like to use hats. And
Oh, okay.
I
That's
said it's
amazing.
experimental. It's not
Yeah.
anything that's tried and true, but we've been working with it.
Oh, that's incredible. And how much okay, sorry, my hair. How much should I bet you're gonna put that element maybe in a future story of like searching for someone missing or something? I don't know.
Already have. I have a murder
Oh,
mystery trilogy that's based on using the horses and my experience with law enforcement.
okay, well, that's what I figured. That's what I figured. Okay, so before, you know what? I made a little change in my background here. You're the first person I'm gonna announce this to. Big announcement here. But if you see behind me, I've moved that's Mr. Wilbur, and he goes on. I'm in an apartment building in the upper state New York. But he hangs on my front door for the whole month of October for Halloween, Mr. Wilbur. And I accidentally scare my neighbors because they say, "Oh, I come home at night," you know, because they like to party. They're a little younger than me. The party, they're like, "Oh, it scared me." I said, "Oh, do you want me to take it down?" They said, "No, no, we like it. It just kind of scares us, but that's okay." I said, "You're so lucky because there's a sound element inside of his head, and if I turned on the knob, it's motion detected. And if someone walks in front of it, it kind of growls, 'Happy Halloween.'" And I said, "You're lucky I took that out." And they said, "Oh my God, yeah, I would have screamed." Anyway, so now Mr. Wilbur has joined the background here. So
Oh, he's part of the group.
yes, yes, for the paranormal and creativity. All right, so I want to give a quick blurb of your book, Guided Hearts, that was published March 6th of this year, just
Yes.
last month, with the Wild Rose Press. And it is about this. Laurel Quincy's respectable life is suddenly shattered by the betrayal of her husband. Everything she thought she knew about him and their life together was destroyed the day the FBI raided the bank where she was its president. A web of lies and deceit had cost her everything she holds dear: job, home, and financial security. Looking for clarity and solace, she seeks her parents' grave in historic Pioneer Cemetery. Her deliverance suddenly appears when she meets Maggie, an eccentric old woman fond of wearing pink fuzzy slippers and tattered bathrobe. She proves to be a good friend and advisor, guiding Laurel in rebuilding her life again and trusting in love. So that's really intriguing to me. I have a question because the minute when I read that blurb, that would be what you would read on the back of a book jacket or something, right? Or
Yes.
on your Amazon page, of course. So Maggie, the eccentric old woman with the pink fuzzy slippers and tattered bathrobe, is well, just tell what you want to tell with no spoilers. Does she connect it to a paranormal element, or is she a paranormal element?
Yeah, she's a paranormal element.
Okay, okay. That's great. I love it when it comes in a form that you don't expect, you know? So great. So that will kick it off to our first question. What is it about the paranormal realm that inspires you to write in that genre?
Well, it's so diverse. I mean, you're only limited by your imagination when you're writing the paranormal. I mean, you can write about ghosts, angels, fairies, aliens, demons, whatever. I mean, and you can have it as
True.
light as you want, or you can have it as dark as you want. And it's just limitless. So I think that's why so many people like the genre.
Yes, exactly. You can expand and expand, It's there's no cap to it, like you said. So I have to ask, what did you have a favorite paranormal movie or TV show now or growing up?
Well, you can't beat the old classics like The Bishop's Wife.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. I mean, who
Um,
wouldn't want to meet the Captain Greg?
yes, exactly.
Everyone hopes they have one of those in their house.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I love that movie with Reese Witherspoon, Just Like Heaven.
Oh, yes.
Because
Yes.
now here, that's a good example. These are
And Mark
three.
Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo.
Yes, that's an example of paranormal in three different areas, a ghost, an angel, and an out of body experience.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They put it all together.
And the reason I like to keep them light, like my paranormal thing, kind of like sort of like a whisper in the wind.
Yes, yes. Not heavy-handed,
Right, not in your face. Let you look for it.
Right. And I do have to say, every single Christmas season, I watch The Bishop's Wife with Cary Grant, and I could name off the rest of them right now, but I'm not going to. But he just is really, because my degree's in theater too, so I have some acting background too. But he just embraces that. He just fleshes out that role so wonderfully. You really believe he's an angel, and then tempted by the humanness at the end there, and he says, I have to go because he started to fall in love with the wife. But no, it's just so wonderful how he changes everyone's lives in that show, So
Yeah, you can't beat that one. It's the ultimate in romance and paranormal.
yes, and it endures every single season. It endures. So I always tell everyone this. I have to ask this. I can't go without asking this. Have you ever seen a ghost or experienced something strange?
I have never seen a ghost. I have experienced a few strange things, but the one that I could never come up with an explanation for is I had a ceramic top kitchen table. I mean, it's all ceramic. There's no wood or anything on it. And I was working in the kitchen. I turned around and there was a little tiny trail of smoke coming out at the center of the table, out of one of those ceramic parts of it. And it was like a candle, like a birthday candle. It was that thin of a piece of smoke and it was white. And I'm staring at it. I mean, it didn't frighten me. I'm trying to figure it out. And I got on my hands and knees and I looked under the table, although I knew that there couldn't possibly be coming from there. I ran my finger through it and disrupted it, but it would just, but it kept going and then it disappeared and it's never happened before or since. I have no explanation for it.
Wow. How high was it? How far did it go?
I would say it went up in the air maybe 4 inches, 4 or 5 inches,
Okay.
but it would be just like if you've blown out a birthday candle, that pencil thin of a smoke.
And like you say, there's nothing around it. And ceramic, it's not even like it's wood. And if there was a matchbox there or something,
Yeah, no, there was absolutely there was no cooking going on in the house.
Yeah.
I have no explanation for any of it.
Wow. You saw a little teeny ghost. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
One that was on a diet.
Yeah, really. Wow. Well, hey, if anything else happens, let us know. So now going back to writing, what advice would you give to an aspiring writer or just a writer who's trying to get published? Maybe they're working on their manuscript. What advice would you give?
Well, first of all, write. I mean, you have to keep going and identify exactly what it is that you want to do. I mean, not everybody wants to be a published writer. When I first started writing, that really wasn't my goal. I just enjoyed writing so much. Yeah, I just wanted to create something, keep my mind busy. And late, I would say about the last 10 to 15 years is when I really became serious about trying to get something published. And you can't get discouraged when you get rejected, because rejection is inevitable as a sunrise. It's going to come.
Right.
And it's not necessarily that your work is bad. It might just not resonate with the person who is reading it. I mean, everybody's different. They've got their own things and likings that they like, and they'll pass it by. But if you're getting the same feedback from everybody, if you're lucky enough to even get feedback, then start listening to what they're saying and rethink your writing and what you have to do. Because it wasn't until I got with an editor at Wild Rose that I realized I really did some stupid stuff. And I've been reading the books they told me to read and to improve my writing. And it makes sense. And, I mean, it's one thing for somebody to say you got to write a certain way, and you're doing it to please an editor or a publisher or whatever the case may be. But when it makes sense to you and you can see very clearly what you're doing wrong, that's very constructive.
Yes, exactly. And as you know, I'm with the Wild Rose Press as well. And my thing was I would have run-on sentences, the sentences that were too long, condense them.
Me too.
And then I got really, once I started doing that, I was like, oh, I like this. Oh, I get it. I get it. I get it. And then every single time, I get the same note, which is very important because you can't hear it enough. Show, don't tell.
Yes.
Like you say, you don't walk in and say, the bank teller who had an upset stomach walked through the door. It's like, she walks in, oh, hi, Mrs. So-and-so, or whatever. And maybe they indicate she's the bank teller somehow. And then someone offers her a cup of tea. Oh, no, my stomach's bothering me. So she's saying it in dialogue instead of you doing that. And when I don't write sci-fi, but I remember when I was researching to get an agent or something like that, I kept going through all these websites and hearing advice from people, from editors and literary agents. They kept saying the biggest problem with science fiction is at the very beginning they'll give us an information dump, say the spaceship is in the 7th quadrant and blah, 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 and then they go, we just turn it, we just chuck it or something. So that kind of stuck with me, even though I don't write sci-fi. I'm like, okay, I've got a show, don't tell.
Yeah, and it's words that I use too much. When I was reading, one of the things it said, 75% of the time, you don't need the word that. And I said,
yeah,
that's ridiculous. You got to use that word. And I went through my book and I was like, damn, they're right.
Yeah, I take that out all the time.
I think it was Mark Twain that says, don't use any more words than necessary in a sentence, and don't use any sentences that aren't necessary in a paragraph. And that's true. But boy, does it knock the crap out of your word count.
Oh, I know. But what I love is, like, once you start, and someone else, I don't know who it was, some famous writer said, just keep trimming the fat off of the bone, And once I started doing that, and then I see it in other people's writing where they just get to the point, I mean, obviously you have to have description and emotion and all of that as well, of course, but it's so much easier to read without all the extra words and everything,
Yeah, and you don't realize that. When I'm writing, it's like I'm seeing it all happen while I'm writing it. And I'm thinking, well, it's so clear to me. Why isn't it clear to you?
Yeah.
And then you'll ask somebody else to read it. Well, what do you think of this location? And they'll have a completely different image in their mind than you have. It's like, right. But what I like it is when somebody will say to me, oh, I really liked what you said about this, this, and that. This is what you really meant, isn't it? And it was so much better than what I really did mean. I was like, yeah, okay. We'll go with that.
Yeah, I guess that's why they call them beta readers, right?
Yeah.
Like, people read it as you're doing it. In offices, before I got with Wild Rose Press, and now I deal directly with the editor, my editor, I would give a sample, like 5 pages. I gave it to 3 of the other secretaries. I was receptionist, but I would say, and they said they would offer to read it. I said, tell me what you think of this. And I had printed up a little form of like, how did the characters strike you? Would you continue reading after reading this? And da da da. It was the beginning of the book. And it was so funny because one of the secretaries that was like, yeah, I can't wait to read it, Star, blah, blah. She was like, I was so confused and this and that. And she didn't want to comment. That's okay. That's okay. And then someone else who seemed uninterested, but like, yeah, send it to me. She was like, oh, wow. She goes, I loved it. I had a little trouble with this in the first page. She goes, but right after that, it was smooth sailing. I was right there with you. And I was like, oh, okay. So you never know, who's going to like it and who's going to say what.
Well, what's funny too is like regionally, you'll have expressions that anybody around your area, they know what they mean, and you put them in your writing and they'll say, no, what does this mean? I mean, my mother's favorite expression was, your mouth goes like a whippoorwill's ass in a windstorm.
I like that. I like that. Did you add that in one of your
No, I haven't put it in. It might end up in there one day.
Yeah.
And another thing she would always say too is she would be really busy. And you'll say, Mom, will you do this? Mom, will you do that? And she said, well, why don't you stick a broom up my butt and I'll sweep the floor on my way through.
I love these. I love these. My grandmother, who's passed now, she's, she was from back in the day. And when someone would have too much to drink, she would say, oh, he's in his cups.
Yes.
At first we said, in his cups? What do you mean? Because I don't think of a cup when I'm drinking liquor. She goes, he's drunk. And we're like, oh, I get it now. So that's in my the first book of the Kelly Society, Bay of Darkness. They're at a funeral for a dear friend, and people are upset, so they're drinking a little too much. And they said, oh, he's in his cup. As my grandma would say, he's in his cups. And I have the character actually say, as my grandma would say, because I had to put it in there.
Yeah, some of them you just got to have in there, but it harkens back to your childhood,
Yes, and I think people get it, once you explain it. So, excuse me. The Guided Hearts has just come out, but what else do you have in your plans for the future, shall we say?
I have two under consideration. I'm rewriting one. It's called The Christmas Chapel, and that too is a paranormal element to that one, and one that's
during Christmas time.
I don't know if it would ever. You know how long it takes to get things out, so I don't know if it'd be.
But it's about Christmas season, right?
Yes and no. I mean, it encompasses. It starts at one Christmas, and then it goes through the whole year, and then comes back out and ends on the following Christmas, and all the events that happen in between.
Oh, nice.
And that. Yeah. And I have another one that's I won't be hearing for probably another month. It's not paranormal in nature. It's more of a mystery romance.
Oh.
Where you have to try and keep a secret from the reader through the entire book.
Oh,
and when I send it to the editor, she says, I have to know what the secret is. So I know.
Oh, right. Yes, the editor needs to know, right? Yeah. That's so funny. I heard I love Stranger Things, and I was looking at some of the interviews because it was a really slow day yesterday in the office I work in. So we were all in Friday afternoon, like we have nothing to do, but we have to wait till, so I was going through my boss won't see this, but anyway, I was looking at some old interviews of the Duffer Brothers who wrote a little thing called Stranger Things, because I always get a little inspiration here and there from what they say, because it's a successful paranormal team, right, for television. And they said, Netflix is kind of getting upset with us, or kind of not upset, but they're telling us we need to find out because they have ideas for a spin-off or something from Stranger Things. So they keep talking about it when they're interviewed with the media, with the press. And they say, yeah, we have the idea and everything. And then they said, yeah, but the guy from Netflix keeps texting me because we haven't told them the idea, but we're telling the press we have an idea. So it's kind of like what you're saying, like the editor's like, okay, I love your secret, but you have to tell me
Yeah, and you always wonder how much you're supposed to reveal when you're querying somebody,
Mm.
because do they want to know the whole thing, or you're hoping that what you send them will intrigue them enough they'll say, okay, I gotta know. I want to see
Right,
the rest of
right.
it. But
Yes. Yeah, that's true. When I was sending little bits to the Wild Rose Press back in 2000, late 2017, you know, they would ask, you send the first 5 pages for people who know or don't know and maybe watching this, you know, you send, this is who I am, this is the book I'm doing the query letter, right? And some of them asked for the first 5 pages, and luckily Rhonda Penders, who from Wild Rose Press, asked for, sent it over to the editor, who's my editor now, Diane Rich, and she asked for the first chapter and then the first 3 chapters. And then she said, oh, just send me the whole thing. And I'm like, oh my God, it was the first time somebody wanted to see the whole manuscript. I've been, you know, chugging that along for like 5 years. I was ecstatic. And then I'm like, I was talking to my sister. I'm like, and then we started working editing together. She goes, can we just work together? Blah, blah. And I'm like, it was like for 6 months. And I'm like, I told my sister, what if after all this, because I don't have a contract, they didn't say yes or no. What if after all this, they just say, oh, okay, nice working with you, bye. And my sister said, Stara, you're getting free editing services and you're not having to pay for it. It doesn't matter. Just keep going. I go, okay. And then of course I got a contract. So yeah, but that was really fun to just keep, you know, when they kept asking for more, finally after trying and trying and trying, you know.
well, the same thing happened to me, and I would have been quite disappointed if they didn't want
Yeah.
to accept it. But I feel the same way your sister did.
Right.
What they have taught me is you can't put in a monetary box. You know, I mean,
Yes.
it's invaluable.
I mean, people pay for editing services. I think how they work is if they could, and this is what used to happen with me with a lot of theater auditions. They would say, try it this way, try the scene, try the character this way. And they want to see how you can adapt and how you work with notes. Same thing with the Wild Rose Press. I can tell. I said, I think they're trying to work with me, see how I can adjust with the notes and everything. And I think if someone can't do it right away, they probably say, okay, well, thank you, but, you know, good luck elsewhere. So I think that's how they work, but you know, it was a lot of fun. And
Well,
here we are.
yeah, you don't want them to put in work for somebody that's not going to appreciate it and be up to the task. I mean, when you get handed something, an opportunity like that, you don't turn it down. You do what they tell you to do. And if you don't, they're not worth their trouble to follow up with them. You know, you got to follow their rules and appreciate what they've got to teach you.
Yes, good notes to go by.
Yes.
But hey, Cindy, I just wish you continued success and congratulations on Guided Hearts. Can you tell them, tell people watching, do they go to your Amazon page or do you have a website? What's the best way for them to find you and your books?
If they want to send me an email, I have a website. It's clnculverwell.com. And if they want to buy the books, there are all the regular vendors like Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. They'll find it.
Okay, great. And the notes under this video, I'll put your website address as well and your bio again. So thank you so much for coming on Creativity and the Paranormal today and sharing your you know, pearls of wisdom with us and your books.
All right. Well, thank you so much for inviting me.
Sure. And I'm going to say my little tagline to everybody. May all your paranormal encounters be magical. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.